All right. Good evening. I would like to call to order the Board of Supervisors meeting for June 17th, slightly delayed at 7:05. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, how about we establish a quorum? How about roll call, Ms. Flock?
Supervisor Jeannie Vogel.
Here.
Supervisor Linda Waite.
Here.
Chairman Dan Wolfel.
Here.
Supervisor Mark Hain.
Here.
Supervisor Trent Olson.
Here we go. Everybody's here. We have a quorum. How about introducing all of our guests? We will start over here, please.
Juliana Beam, the Door County Tourism Zone.
Thank
Julie
you.
Gilbert, Destination Door County.
All the Julies at one table, okay.
Hugh Zettel, District 14, County Board Supervisor, 3986 Glidden Drive.
William Schuster, 4095 Glidden Drive.
Cool.
Vicki Wilson, 4141 Glidden Drive, also with Destination Door County and Door County Coffee. There might be some.
Nice promo.
Kate Cornelius Wintersky, Destination Sturgeon Bay.
Sue Schwartz, Destination Door County.
Greg Ellis, Highway 42, Highway 57.
Aren't you with somebody?
Yeah,
Just kidding.
I'm Carrie, I'm with them.
Nick Hoffman, 4820, Highway 57.
All right, welcome all.
You're the
All
other
right.
guys
Oh, I'm
introduced.
sorry, the gentleman over there, they're standing, we might as well get them.
Yeah, Derek Denise, 4990 North Country View Road.
All right,
Larry Chapman, Glidden Drive.
all right, welcome all. So next thing on our agenda would be public participation. Anyone wishing to speak about a non-agenda item, now would be your opportunity. You? All right.
All right, so I want to talk about an incident that happened the other day at my house. Actually, yesterday morning, to be precise. I've never actually had any bad stuff happen in this municipality. This place has been a pretty good place to live. I'm 45 years old. I lived on the same place majority of my life, with the exception of when I went away for school. My dad was born on that property and lived there until he died for 78 years. My dad was also a military veteran. Went to Vietnam, got shot. 50 years from the time that he got shot till the day he died, he had the bullet in his leg. He bled for this country and everything. All the freedoms that we have, including freedom of speech, everything, whatever you want to do. He was part of the people that fought for this country. But what happened yesterday on my property was a total disgrace, not only to him, to every military veteran, and to the United States flag. I got home at 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning from my job. I look over to my decoration display that I always put out every year. This is the third year that I have. I'm not ashamed to say that I'm gay and I have a pride flag. I have a pride tree with a flag on top. But someone decided to go on our property in the middle of the night, take the flag, roll it up nicely. They didn't take it off, but it looked like they tried to rip the tree down. But I have it anchored down hard enough that no one would disrupt it. And it's been on there for 3 years in a row. No one's bothered it any of the other time. I've never had any complaints from any of the neighbors, nothing. What I saw was very disgraceful. They wrapped up my pride flag that was on top of the tree, and they put the American flag upside down on it. That is disgraceful to the country, to that flag. And honestly, we, every month, make pledge allegiance to that flag every time we have any kind of event. And that's what they do to a military veteran's property. They come on there and they disgrace that property. Now, my dad knew about me. Years ago, I came out to him, almost 20 or so years. He told me in his own words, he says, you know what, I don't care who you love, because guess what? Out of all my kids, you're the best one that I have. So honestly, I don't care who you like. And he was the first person to be supportive in my family. And this was coming from a veteran. I don't disrespect him by putting my flag out or my displays. And I even have a nice little sign, like, you know, that is displaying the Pride Festival, which is going to be on next weekend. Did they disrupt that? No. But for some reason, someone had a problem of a rainbow flag. But yet, the way they took care of that problem was disgracing the U.S. flag on a veteran's property, nonetheless. I am not telling you guys to raise a flag or show your support or anything. All I want is for you guys to say, in this township, guys are not going to put up with that kind of behavior. That's all I'm asking you guys to do. Thank you.
Well, I'm sorry that that happened. There are always a number of lowlifes in our area that decide that they have to take certain actions. You know, they feel that they're enabled to do that. And I would guess that they probably didn't know your dad was a veteran, not that that factors into it, but it's an unfortunate set of circumstances. Hopefully you at least talk to the sheriff.
I did not at the moment.
You should.
I did not want to. I took it down before my mom even saw it. I did not want her to feel vulnerable that someone came onto the property while she was sleeping.
Well,
I am putting up cameras. It's not going to deter me from taking down my display.
and I would still advise you to call the sheriff and let him know. I mean, when we have issues, not your type of issues, but other issues in the community, we call the sheriff, we alert them. They try and put a couple more patrols by just in the off chance that they can catch somebody doing something they shouldn't be doing.
Get it documented.
And yes, and get it documented so that if something does come up later, you have, you have it on the record, so.
I will be putting up cameras, that's for sure.
Well, all right. Anyone else have a comment?
Yeah, I do. It tears me apart to think that this could happen in our community. There's no place for bigotry and hatred, and this country, people have gotten so divided. We forget we are all one people, none better than another. We are all equal. We are all equal, no matter what we profess in politics, in religion, in sexual orientation, whatever. It shouldn't matter. We are one people.
I agree with that. All right, anyone else wishing to speak? All right, then let's move on. I assume the agenda was properly noticed,
The agenda was properly noticed.
and we would need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mark, second by?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Linda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. All right. Approval of minutes from the Board of Supervisors meeting from May 20th, a memorial occasion. That's all right, skip it. Approval of minutes from May 20th, 2024.
So move to approve the minutes of May 20th, 2024
All right.
Second.
There was just one spell, under the public participation, it should say to be aware and look into this, not away and look into this, in the last sentence, but if we can just make that correction. Yep, thank you, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. All right, we have a motion from Linda, a second from Jean,
Jean, yeah.
to approve the minutes from May 20th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. All right.
First thing this evening is we have a request from Destination Door County to do a presentation on a variety of topics with a variety of people. So what we'll do is we'll turn it over to Julie, and you can tell us who's going to go in what order, and I think we have all of your slides.
Yep.
Okay.
Is this on, Len?
Should
You
be.
okay?
I can hear you.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Yes.
And I did,
Oh, sure.
Don't have a reflection.
Sorry, they're going to just close the blinds, so it's a little easier to
great.
look back.
and I did neglect to tell everyone, I also live in Sevastopol, 4548 Ridgecrest Road,
Ooh,
Unit 2.
all right.
Forgot to say that. And it will be just myself and Juliana tonight speaking.
Okay.
So,
Makes that a little easier to see. Oh, you're here. Just kidding.
You thought I was gonna go out the back door?
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
please go ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for your time tonight, and we appreciate the opportunity to be on the town's agenda. And as the official designated tourism marketing and management organization for Door County through the tourism zone, Destination Door County is a community shared values organization, and we are committed to balancing sustainability and economic opportunities for our businesses, our local governments, our organizations, and the environment. Our foundational activity of attracting visitors sets off a chain of economic benefits, supporting the initiatives that we're going to walk through in the packets that you have in front of you. So we'll start on the left side packet, top to bottom, and you will see the flow chart. Thank you, Laddie.
Is that the right one?
It is. You got it. Thank you so much. So on the funding flow chart, and I know several of you have been through this many, many times, and thank you so much for your time and attention on the tourism zone. But it highlights how the lodging tax is distributed. And Juliana will talk more about the collections and the distribution of that tax. And you'll see the municipal reimbursement program that's highlighted in green, and those dollars are what each municipality pays to the tourism zone, and then through the 70% Destination Door County reimburses. So as those dollars do come from the 70%, they must be used for tourism-related infrastructure and expenses or public community enhancement projects. And in 2024, the town of Sevastopol was reimbursed $22,456.03. And then you'll see the blue highlighting the 30% received by the municipality. And as you all know, you can use those dollars for whatever you feel is necessary. You'll also see the investment into the Strategic Community Partnership Program at 19% of the lodging tax allocation. And that provides additional funding and investment for the vital work that our community business associations do on behalf of their communities, supporting the residents, their businesses, and visitors. And Sevastopol is fortunate to have Destination Sturgeon Bay as their Community Business Association champion. And visitors seek a seamless and enjoyable experience that really transcends those municipal boundaries. And whether they're dining, shopping, hiking, or attending events, they really look for that cohesive destination experience. So by working with Destination Sturgeon Bay, who works very closely with Destination Door County, we try to maximize and leverage all of those resources. And then the next document you will see will be the Community Investment Fund. And this was established and launched January of last year, 2023, to support initiatives that enhance tourism infrastructure, cultural and historical preservation, economic opportunities for our municipalities and our nonprofit organizations. And as this is funded by room tax collections allocated to Destination Door County as a designated destination tourism entity, these funds must follow Wisconsin lodging statute. Projects that are significantly used by transient tourists and reasonably likely to generate paid overnight stays. But that project also has to show the benefit to our residents. And the info packet walks through all those 5 rounds of funds that have been granted. And the town of Sevastopol has received the following awards, which was $70,000 for the creation of a new restroom facility that is ADA compliant and includes men's, women's, and family bathrooms. And we just had a big check presentation last week with Mr. Wolfel and Amy, and we are definitely looking forward to more of those, so as we discussed. The first round of those funds kicked off in May of last year, and investments totaled through the year $828,917. And then in 2024, through round 5, that amount has increased, or has reached $578,335, with a combined total of $1,407,252, or $407,252. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. So all of these projects really will positively impact our communities throughout Door County and generate additional visitation, extend the stay, and provide benefits for our residents. And I would like to encourage you to really discuss additional ideas and projects that fit this criteria, and we're very, very excited about this program. And then on the next, underneath the CIF information, is the Parks Grant Initiative. And that was also activated this past year. And we are working with the friends groups of our 5 state parks and the county. And all of our state and county parks, as we know, are really key generators of visitation to the county. And this grant program will use dollars generated by overnight visitors to support conservation, improvement, and accessibility in our state and county parks. And details are outlined in the one-sheeter that is included in your packet. But I'm happy to share that the Friends of Whitefish Dunes is currently working on phase 1 of 3 of their renovation of outdoor and indoor museum exhibits. And they've accessed $10,000 and are working together with the park staff and local tribal groups to redesign and install new park exhibits with a significant focus on Native cultural history. And then they're looking at an indoor museum exhibit will feature information about the ecological, geological, and cultural landscapes of Whitefish Dunes State Park through traditional museum displays and new technologies such as video and audio. So an outdoor village also display will showcase buildings made in the traditional Oneota style, and replica Oneota tools, pottery, clothing, decorations, and social items will help showcase the Oneota culture. And the collaboration with the tribal partners will be strengthened in this initial design phase, again, very initial design phase, conceptualizing the unique exhibits, unlike anything else currently found in the state of Wisconsin. So very exciting, and we're just now starting to receive requests for the funding related to the Friends groups with the state parks. They're being very thoughtful and working closely with park staff and DNR and the communities, and it's been very, very encouraging to see that collaboration. So we'll continue to ensure that the tourism zone, and then coming back to the municipalities, will be up to speed with all of those projects as we learn of them too. And we're actually doing quite a bit of work for the Friends groups in order to generate additional investment in those challenge funds to help them raise money from people outside coming into the county, so that we can help them reach that 50,000 goal that will then be able to access that additional 50,000 that is there for them to use for park improvements. So, and then the next document is the connection Destination Connection municipal newsletter. And this was really created to provide relevant information that's specific to each municipality. And in 2023, we produced 2 per year, and we'll continue that cadence. So we'll be sending out the next iteration in a few weeks. But I would really, really like to encourage you all to let us know when you see this next iteration of that newsletter, if there are things that you'd like to see, or maybe you don't, it doesn't matter to you, let us know, and we'll make those edits. We know your time is valuable. We know you have limited time, and again, this is pertinent and relevant information to you. We're trying to make it easy for you so that you've got everything at your fingertips. And then going to the right-hand side of the packet is top to bottom is the Destination Door County 3-year strategic plan. We're actually in year 2 of our 3-year plan with our 3 pillars: community outreach and destination alignment, sustainable development, and values-based marketing. And you'll see the goals and objectives for each pillar along with our strategies and tactics that drive our budget. And we also include our key performance indicators so that we can ensure full transparency and accountability for everything that we do. And we created and we review the goals and objectives every year with members of the tourism zone and 4 members of our Destination Door County Board of Directors who are part of the Strategic Planning Committee. And it has been so successful to bring everybody's perspectives together, and it has been a really good conversation just going through the process and people really providing good insight and direction, and very, very positive. And then the next document is our Door County Stewardship Plan. And this long-term plan is really about taking a strategic approach to establishing a vision and path forward for the stewardship of Door County. And the one thing about this plan is it's not just a Destination Door County plan. We facilitated the process, but this is a county-wide plan. And you'll see the 4 strategic goals that are included is supporting environmental sustainability, improving infrastructure, excuse me, championing community stewardship, and developing and enhancing experiences. So we do have an implementation plan that is built out, and our team has set up a stewardship page on our website, doorcounty.com/stewardship. But on the back of the stewardship plan, there is a QR code, and where anybody can sign up and get involved with the areas that they're interested in and passionate about. And we have a new team member, Amanda Stuck, who is actually the lead on the stewardship plan. We hired somebody specifically to ensure that we continue to move this forward. And starting there's so many organizations that are already doing a lot of this work, and we're just trying to align and leverage and amplify all of our efforts together. And then starting in 2025, several of the initiatives that Destination Door County can do moving forward, short-term, mid-term, will be integrated with our strategic plan. The town hall, we had 3 town halls, and actually the last one we had was here, and it was a pretty good turnout. It was last September, I think. Gosh, yeah, it's hard to believe it goes so fast. So, and then the last document that you'll see is the power of tourism in Door County. And we've included the fact sheet. We just actually received that the beginning of this week, or end of last week, excuse me. And it is provided through Travel Wisconsin and Tourism Economics, and it highlights key analytics ranging from tax revenue generated from visitor spending, tourism employment, and other relevant data points. And you'll see that the overall impact of visitor spending in Door County was up 5.7% over 2022, with direct visitor spending up 5.6% over 2022. So what we're seeing is more incremental growth which is easier to sustain, and not those big spikes that we had seen after COVID. And things have seemed to smooth out in terms of those numbers. And if you have any questions, I'm always available, or please let us know. And if not, I'll turn it over to Juliana.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah? Okay.
We'll let Juliana go, or you want to go ahead? Go ahead.
Just one, so on the fact sheet, Julie,
Yes.
it briefly mentions employment. Have you had any feedback from our lodging providers and our restaurants and the retail stores? Do they have adequate staff? And has anybody ever mentioned a transit system, that would have to run in the morning and the afternoon and, be varied hours just for summer?
Yes.
Help?
Yes,
staff
actually,
get them to and from?
Couple of answers, because those are really good questions, and those are challenges that we have. So with workforce, we have a considerable number of J1 students, or summer seasonal workers, that have come into the county this summer, 540, I think, Sue, 540 some. And several restaurants that I haven't spoken to all the restaurants, but several restaurants throughout the peninsula are, for the first time, they feel that they have staffing to where they're much more comfortable, that they haven't been in several years. The lodging, I've not heard any negative in terms of workforce, which is really great. We have also been working with Matchup, related to people that are in the county and they're retired, but they have incredible skills, and they can come in and fill in with a variety of areas that are needed to be filled, and it helps that social engagement. Transportation, Sister Bay just actually did get a Community Investment Fund grant to help purchase a van, and they are using the vans for student transportation for J1 workers, as well as residents, as well as visitors. So they're scheduling it in order to address those areas. So, which, again, if we can start seeing some models in different areas, perhaps we can replicate those in others too. But it's definitely challenges that we have to move forward with, for sure.
Good, thank you. Juliana?
Before I launch into tourism zone updates, I just wanted to give a couple brief thank yous. The first one is to Amy. She does an incredible job, and we really appreciate her diligence and assistance, especially throughout the past year. We've come up with some identification issues at times, and some investigations into properties, and she has been a really great help in that area. And of course, it's wonderful to be working with Linda and Jeannie and the commission, and to have their dedication and perspective. And I know at times it's a lot of time, but I personally really appreciate the thought and time that goes into the organization from them both. I wanted to do a little bit of a review. For some of you, it's probably things that you've heard several times over, but I provided a packet of just some review for the commission. It's how it started and how it operates. And I always like to start with a review of the creation of the commission. The commission was created in 2007 as a response to a decrease over the course of 4 years. A dip in tourism-related spending, and that amounted to about 15% over the course of 4 years. And it was determined that in order for Door County to maintain and increase market share in the tourism area, that room tax would need to be implemented in order to support those marketing efforts. And as such, the Door County Tourism Zone was created, and an entity agreement was put in place with Destination Door County. So we often get several calls in a year asking us for our opinions on the best places to go for dinner or some good places to stay, and someone will give me a call and say, you know, what should I do at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night in Door County? And I will say, that is my bedtime. I have no idea, but I can give you the number for Destination Door County. So I like to put in a little section talking about what we do versus what Destination Door County does. And a lot of my job is to get money in, room tax dollars in as quickly and accurately as possible and get them out the door to you and to Destination Door County. So 30% goes directly to the town of Sevastopol and 70% goes to Destination Door County, which is the minimum percentage that's mandated by state statute 66.0615, which the authority to create the tourism zone is housed under. Our operations are funded by municipalities and are reimbursed by Destination Door County. So you've already sent in your check for the year and then received your reimbursement, so you are all set. But we are also responsible for permitting, collections, distribution, and following up on any compliance issues related to the room tax ordinance. And Destination Door County is responsible for developing and executing their annual marketing plan and their budget. So just to continue on a little bit more, the Commission's responsibility at this time is to collect 8% in room tax for all short-term rentals in Door County. It includes hotels, motels, resorts, cottages, cabins, homes. Basically, if you can sleep there, we're going to need to tax it. And we report annually to each municipality. We also have on Thursday our annual meeting. I'm a little bit of a geek for numbers, so if you are interested, it's Thursday morning at 9 a.m. at our new office at 185 East Walnut Street. It's the Door County Economic Development Corporation building. And we're going to be reviewing performance for the year, and it should be a fun time, I think. So we also monitor marketplace providers. And we create reports. It's quite a bear. We have, I think it's 1,156 Airbnb profiles in Door County, and we have about 1,000 VRBO listings as well, which we monitor on a bi-monthly basis. And we also pursue compliance issues. So one of the responsibilities with that is we have a process to encourage permit holders to file in a timely manner wherever possible and also in an honest manner. We go through quite a few review processes of claimed exempt sales. We look for average daily rates that seem out of the ordinary or are inconsistent with previous reporting years. We frequently contact permit holders if the amounts that they're listing don't appear to be consistent with profiles on their marketplace. On Marketplace. So if someone has 7 Airbnb reviews for the past month, but they're only reporting $500 in lodging sales, that's something that we would give someone a call about. And we also pursue a lack of reports. So we do send 2 filing reminders each month prior to deadlines, which are the last day of the following month. So for example, May room tax is due June 30th. And following that deadline, we send 1 email reminder and then 2 paper reminders, and we often have a phone call as well, leave a voicemail if a report is late before it's sent to our attorney. But if we receive no response, we do send it to our attorney, Attorney Vandecastle. And if a permit holder is late for the first time, we do allow one mulligan, especially for permit holders who are just getting started or are renovating a property and didn't realize that as soon as they get their permit, that's the start date for their activity and their room tax reporting responsibility. So we have one mulligan that we give. But after that, all reports less than 30 days late do accrue a $25 penalty and 1% interest. And after 30 days, it is the greater of either the $25 plus 1% interest or 25% of the total room tax plus the 1% interest. And any permit holder who fails to complete their reporting once all of these notices are received will be sent on to the attorney. And on occasion, we try to avoid this as much as possible, but we do move to a legal case. And we do also pursue based on an estimate that's outlined by the state. And if a permit holder doesn't report, the commission creates that estimate assuming an average daily rate that's consistent with the average daily rate in the town of Sevastopol or their municipality, and it is assumed that they rented every night. So that gets submitted to the courts. Most of the time we have some sort of resolution before it goes through, but that does unfortunately happen at certain times. And then I also just quickly wanted to touch on our lodging provider and marketplace provider process. Last year there was a change to when those dollars are received. You may have noticed that the flow of dollars coming into the town of Sevastopol changed a bit. Marketplace providers are now only responsible for reporting and remitting tax on a quarterly basis. So it did cause a change in the way that taxes are received by us and then also by municipalities and by Destination Door County. I think that we've adjusted to that well, but we do not release any of those room tax dollars until we have a report and have the money actually in the office in order to release it. And then just one or two other things. We do also have, I just wanted to make a note that Destination Door County currently provides 19% of its budget of the 70% that it receives to community business associations like Destination Sturgeon Bay. These funds are still used for tourism promotion and development, and it is in line with state statute 66.0615. And some municipalities also provide additional funding to CBAs. We also have a section there on commission membership. This past year, the town of Sevastopol, the collections were $676,930. So within that, it's within the range of 2 commissioners. So the current state statute states that if a municipality has $300,000 or fewer that are brought in, then they are allotted 1 representative on the commission. Between $300,000 and $1 million, it's 2, and then $1 million and above is 3. Those don't have to be filled all the time. There are a few that we're actually missing right now, which is hard to believe. We have 29 commissioners at this point in time, which is a great thing. But we encourage municipalities to have representatives. And then last thing is that we have a couple changes that we've made within the past year to the commission. You may have heard that we've transferred to an online-only filing system. We were at a position previously where about 90% of our room tax profiles were being used consistently for online filing, but it was just that last 10% that we needed to transfer over. It really had to do with the accuracy of reporting. We had a lot of issues with reports that were sent in either without any check or sent in with the wrong room tax amount were very difficult to track down. And it became an issue, particularly with our accounting firm and keeping good records, and then also with the costs that were associated with it, as well as paper usage. So we've transitioned over and have had a lot of success. We've actually cut down on the number of missing reports on a monthly basis by half, partially because in order to log into your profile, you need to have an active email address for dual authentication, for a verification that it is actually you trying to sign in, which helps in two ways. One, because it creates better security. We did update several things in our security as well as our database. And it also gives a direct path of communication at all times to our permit holders. So that's gone very well. We've also moved our offices to the city of Sturgeon Bay and have expanded to 2 full-time and with space for another part-time staff member. And we've added a few things to our profiles based on inclusions in municipal applications. We now are tracking Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection licenses and are sending out notifications to people in the county where we can't match up with DATCAP's information. We actually just sent out this past week a notification to several people who did not have DATCAP. We are also starting to track maximum occupancy and are now looking, verifying LLC standing with the state of Wisconsin as well. So just a couple things that we've swapped over and have been working out well so far.
Well, I, for one, say thank you for your efforts, especially with the debt cap issue, which I want to say was brought to us really through Hugh's efforts, and really brought forth a huge problem, so I'm glad you're tracking it. As a footnote, I was here when the first presentation was made for the room tax, and they projected that the town, if we agreed to go with a 5%, I believe it was initially, that we would have $12,000 worth of annual revenue. And I'm not going to bother to tell you what it is now. But we've exceeded the $12,000 at least twice. So.
Yeah, oh, indeed.
Anyway, so it's been a positive for our town at any rate. So.
I'm glad.
Anyone else have comment?
I just say too, being here 2.5 years now, but to hear the history and really understand the vision that all the municipalities getting together to create a 19 municipality zone is incredible. I mean, there's not a whole lot of tourism zones like ours out there. And people are clamoring to talk to Juliana because she's so efficient and does such a great job. But, the vision that you all have was really remarkable.
So, well, good. Thank you very much for your time.
Yes.
Any other final comments from anyone?
No, just thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
And you don't have to stay. I know you're a resident and you probably want to, but it's your choice. All right. All righty. All right, sliding back into our agenda. The next item is the EMR bylaws update. Trent, we left this with you after last month's meeting. I think it's updated. Tell us.
Yeah, I went through, proofread, made sure that everything was capitalized right, then made sure that it just flowed better. There was a few of the bullet points where it said all members, but didn't say must, should, will, something like that, some type of B verb.
Okay.
So I believe I got all those corrected. I think we're ready to go.
Okay. So, has everybody else had an opportunity to take a peek at this? Okay.
Does this, when, do we have it in the packet? 'Cause
Yeah.
It is.
Updated ones from May.
It's possible by
May
I
20th.
guess the date,
Okay.
we'll have to
Because I
update it.
still, have you guys said who the executive committee is? Did we outline that? Yeah. Did I miss that?
Let's see, hang on. I did address that, because it didn't say who the executive committee was, so I believe it just refers to the executive officer, it just says officer positions. So instead of having an executive committee, it's the officers.
Page 6.
Page 8.
Yeah, what page is that on?
I have the original, I have last month's version with me.
I do, yeah, I do too.
Where are you at on there? Do you know,
Yeah.
Trent, page number?
What page?
I guess it'd be page 6, because
That's what I
that's the
thought.
officers, but it doesn't,
Yep.
because that executive committee was made up of officers, but it didn't specify who was on the executive committee, so there was really no purpose in having it. The duties fall to the people who are the officers, so I got rid of the term executive committee.
All right.
I
Yeah.
thought I saw it in here, no, okay.
Let's see, okay,
All right. Okay, I'm good with it. So, we would be well-served to approve these revised minutes and make them an official part of the town's emergency medical response bylaws. So that he may also give a copy to the EMRs.
Yes.
So the
Right.
EMR bylaws.
So, yeah. So a motion would be in order.
Okay, okay.
I
I'll
think you're
the
going to make
motion.
it, right?
I'll make the motion that we approve the new EMR bylaws.
All right, motion by Trent, second by Mark. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, thank you, and thank you, Trent. We got that one off the list. Newsletter update, Linda?
Okay, so, we're still hoping for July 1st with, working with Laddie on the time schedule and getting the articles pulled together. So I have sent to him quite a few photos that we hope to include. Right now, we have articles on AT&T broadband overview, which includes how residents can register and receive notifications when that service might be available in their area. We have Chairman's Chatter on the road tour and accessing government. We have the Clerk's Corner on elections and short-term rentals. We have calling all Sevastopol businesses to see if there's any interest in forming or organizing a business group, connection group. We have some Door County zoning reminders. A reminder to please check out our website for information. We have introductions from our new supervisor, Trent Olson, and also our new building inspector. We have an article regarding the Sevastopol Historical Society. We're going to try to get back on track and do some programs. The Sturgeon Bay Fire Department addressing burn permits, fireworks, and recreational fires. The front page will probably be our reval, that our reval is underway with information on our open book and board of review, how to do that. Park enhancements, plus mention of our Clark Lake Beach and the launch areas, not just the Park and Institute.
And our restaurant?
Restroom update.
Yep, okay.
Cable TV, YouTube update, and then, like I said, photos to go along with all of those articles. So we'll see if that comes up to 8 pages or 12
It
pages.
sounds like a lot of pages.
So Laddie, if you need some help, Amy and I can,
I'm not sure how many pages it'll be, but we can handle it.
okay. Oh, I'm sure you can. All right. Okay, and if we get an idea on a time frame, then I can reach out to, we've had Sunshine Resources in the past do our collating and train for mailing, and we use DC Print here in town for printing, so.
So do you have all these articles, or are we still waiting for 1 or 2 yet?
We're waiting for 1 or an addition of 2.
Okay.
So,
basically, we're real close.
yeah,
Okay,
we're very close.
great. That's not an easy topic to get easy subject to round everybody up to get their articles in.
Well, I'd really
Having
like.
done that before,
yeah.
it's fun.
I'd like to shoot for, or keep that July 1st, but it's only 2 weeks, probably won't make July 1st, but.
Okay, good to go. Road work update. The two main roads that we are doing, Whitefish Bay and Dunn, have both been pulverized. Expect them to stay in that state and probably until the last week of June. It could get done a couple days earlier, but the target right now from the county is they'll get it done by July 1st. They will get us some numbers shortly thereafter so that we can make a decision, certainly by no later than our July meeting, as to whether or not we're going to attempt to do some, all, a portion, or none of Whitefish Bay, East Whitefish Bay. In your packets, or on the table, wherever, at our last meeting, you wanted to look at the option of doing Whitefish Bay all the way down to the cul-de-sac and not do the cul-de-sac, given that there wasn't a lot of residents on that particular circle. Anyway, the numbers that have come back, and the original bid was $99,339 for the entire project to be pulverized and reconstructed, and the revised bid would be $89,759. So it's a $10,000 delta, and frankly, I don't think it would be advisable on our part to take that option, because sooner or later, we'd have to come back and do that anyhow.
Yeah.
And by then, it'll eat through that other $8,900. I would rather take the position, depending on our billing, that we do from Harder Hill east to where we did that break in the road, approximately 6 blocks or whatever it is. Do that this year, because we can achieve that, and do the second half next year. But if we get enough money, we'll tackle it all. He also believes that, in the conversation I had with Randy, that he'll be able to save us a few dollars on Apple Road, even though it's in dire states. He thinks he can get away with some wedging and overlaying.
Okay.
So he might pick up a few bucks there. So the good news is, I'm hopeful we'll know more by July 1st, and we'll certainly have an answer for our meeting in July. So, all right. Glidden Lane updates. So we've been through this topic about the lanes, and I didn't realize there was going to be the world's largest article in the Pulse. And the Pulse version, that hard copy, was different than the electronic version, which actually included more. At any rate, I've heard from a number of the people on the lanes. So far, mostly pretty cooperative in terms of what's up. Haven't really had a lot of issues, which is good. I went out last week with our guys from the park, and I put up the signs on the beach side of all the accesses, which you saw last month. We put them all up, and so they're in place. My goal tonight is to get verbiage for the signs that we need to place at the access, and that's why you have this fabulous sign print that I took a copy of. Something else that slipped my mind here. I still have to go back in there and select what trees. There's 3 lanes that are going to need attention, and 3 that are basically not going to need anything, but maybe a little trimming on 1 or 2, but essentially not much. And I have 1 lane where we need to do a little barricade repair, and one of the lanes has a huge pile of sand halfway across the easement, so I'll probably have someone come in there, just scoop out 3 or 4 loads of sand so there's access there. So that's basically where I'm at. Next step will be the signage, and when we have a few less mosquitoes, I'll go back in there for the trees. I can't tell you how bad they are over there. I mean, it's brutal. At any rate, so you've seen what was posted years ago. No fires, this area is closed. There were hours posted from 10 to 5. No overnight parking by order of town board, no snowmobiles on the beach, etc. So I need to come up with some wording that we all agreed on, and then order some signs from the county. I've started a list, not at all encompassing, or doesn't necessarily need to all be there. No parking or blocking driveways. As you know, a lot of these lanes are being accessed for personal driveways. No fire, question mark. Do we want a closed time frame, 10 to 5, whatever. and something about respect private property, stay on public access. I'm sure there's other things, so I'm looking for your feedback on what we want to put on there so I can take the next step. So,
It was, I know from our previous road tour and notes or whatever, it was, you mentioned blocking the driveway. Do not block access or driveways, I think is what we said.
do not,
Block access or driveways.
so just for clarification, are you envisioning somebody parking their car at the access, blocking anybody from getting in, or blocking it dead center?
I could see that happening
Yeah.
if you're unloading kayaks or whatever.
Okay, I just,
That you want to get as close to the beach as possible, and then you decide, I'll just leave my car here because nobody will bother it.
okay.
I'm not bothering anybody.
All right.
No fires is
Of
pretty
course, no fires,
self-explanatory.
absolutely.
Do you need to say no fires on the beach as well, or not?
I don't think there's any place else to build a fire unless you do it in someone's yard. But,
Oh, Hugh.
go ahead, Hugh.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is just a discussion from RPC and others. Since it's potentially fires on the beach, that really is subject to Wisconsin ordinance law, because that's shoreland zoning, because that's on the water side of the ordinary high water mark. So that's nothing that's covered under Chapter 33 of the county laws regarding fires, which we were going to kind of look at adopting and amending the town's fire burning. So that Chapter 33 that has, what you can and can't do with fires, that's only up to the ordinary high water mark. Everything on the other side of the ordinary high water mark, as you get towards the beach where someone would typically build a fire, that's really the purview of the state, because that's shoreline zoning. So I think that'd be worth a discussion to see how you would word that, and you probably would need to reference a state law, not a county law. Just a heads up.
Do we have to?
I'm going to need the world's largest sign.
Yeah, do we have to reference?
Well, that's okay. We might be just as well off to just say no fires.
Just say no
And just
fires.
assume that the most logical people understand that, and if not, I think we've tried to tell anybody, if there's an issue with fire in the town, I don't care what they're burning, pick up the phone, call the fire department, ask them to come out, they will respond and do that. I hear what you're saying. I don't know how I would work around that, but.
Because the fire department said if it happens on the beach, they have to call the warden, because that's a DNR responsibility. It's not the fire department.
So you got from the city of Sturgeon Bay's fire department is saying they would not respond to a
Well,
fire?
they
on
would
the beach?
respond, but then they would call the warden.
Oh, okay.
Because the warden has jurisdiction on that side of the ordinary high water mark, since that's basically,
There's a lot of gray area with fires on the beach as well, if it's contained or not.
Yep.
Tim and I went around a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I got a whole pile of emails from him, and it's a lot of gray area.
I'll touch base with Kaylin and just see if she's got a perspective on it, but I think otherwise I would kind of go with the same thing as, no blocking access or no parking in the driveways, no fires, and assume that most people will be good soldiers and follow.
It's just so that you have your statutes, and,
Yep.
prep.
And that brings up another point. I mean, this says by order of the town board, we may need to do something legally.
Yeah, an ordinance.
It's not an
Right,
ordinance.
we may need to do an ordinance to cover that. Okay, so, go ahead.
We had previously said access limited to 50 feet in width or 60 feet in width. But if you've brushed out the lanes that if I were to walk in there, I can see where I should be?
Well, the signs
Without putting more signage saying access limited to 50 feet in width?
the signs on the beach are posted on the lot lines.
Oh, they are?
So
Okay. And just
I've got them on either side, so as soon as you walk past the tree line, look left or look right, you're gonna see two signs that say beach access after private, end of beach access, private property. So I think we've defined that. Okay, closed times, yes, no, maybe?
Do we need that?
It's
I
not
don't
a
know,
park,
I'm just
I mean,
simply,
so it's-
simply taking, do we have assigned times? We do,
Only for the
quiet, I mean, that's park.
it's at the, I know we do at the, don't we at Clark Lake?
I believe so, and I think there's
I
one
think-
whitefish as well.
10,
I think
11?
Whitefish too.
Until
We have
7.
an ordinance setting our time for
Quiet.
parks.
Park.
Okay.
It's an old one, but I'm pretty sure we have an ordinance.
I don't think we, personally, I don't think we need it on there.
I don't think so either.
Okay. That's easy enough.
Definitely don't think we need the snowmobile thing.
Anything else?
Do you need just no overnight parking or just forget the whole thing? Not put in any times, just say no
If we do-
Are
overnight.
you thinking free camping?
If we do overnight parking, can we put the
I mean, that's what
I in
I-
night, or we leave it overnight?
NTE.
Yeah. Can we spell check this, please? Right, Linda?
Oh, yeah, I like that. There's nothing wrong with that. Somebody,
Get rid of the E and over as well, just.
well,
shorten it
the
up.
the nice part about it was the conversation I had with the individual who assured me that this belonged to the county.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so
It'd be nice not to clutter it and have huge signs and all the wording.
Right,
More words, the less they're gonna look at it.
exactly.
I feel like that at the beach at Clark Lake. You start reading the first 2 lines, you just walk away, because there's so much on it.
I envision putting it as you walk to the beach.
Yep.
Park one side or the other, just prior to going off the, what I'll call the driveway portion. Okay, so we're gonna go with 3 items. Do not block access or driveways. No fires. Oh, we eliminated the third one, was park closing times.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, the other one that I wrote down was respect private property, stay on public access. We have it on this, but we don't have to, that's just my
Are we
take.
putting anything that it's public access? Is it,
Well, that's the other
are we
piece.
putting a sign saying,
We have one that's marked private that isn't, it's public, and all of the signs, the question is, should we just put new signage up at each entrance that says,
Chairman, are you aware that some of those lanes are 180 feet wide and not 60?
no, there's nothing that's over 50 or 60 foot wide.
If you check on the original 1937 map, you'll see.
I'm not talking about the aprons, laddie.
Yeah, I am talking about the.
That's not, that belongs to the Glidden Drive Association. I did all the homework on that.
Did you read my document on that?
If I did, I don't recall it. I mean, I've read it, but I can't recall anything specific, but according to the county, when I went and did the research with it, that those aprons are for the exclusive use of the people from the Long Beach Plat, specifically intended to be of common
The back lots.
For the back
basically, For
lots.
the benefits of the back.
for the back lots. So they use our access to get there, and they can spread out, and the clerk has done the work also to determine that the tax, there's a difference between the tax for the people that have and don't have that access.
Yeah,
So,
you are aware of that, okay.
right, so I am not gonna touch those, that's Glidden Drive's issue. So, okay, so back to the question at hand. Do you want me to put a sign, a double-sided sign that's a Arrowhead public access out at the street? Replacing the ones that are there, or leave the ones that are there and just correct the one that says, I think it's Arrowhead, that says
I think it'd be
private?
nice to at least replace them all and get them all
So they're
fresh and new.
What they look like
Right,
town roads,
right.
yeah.
Should-
Yeah.
So it's
I think we can
public
afford
access-
that.
access, yeah.
Okay.
Make sure the spelling's correct
I'm gonna go with the spelling that's on here.
Dan?
for the lanes as well.
Yeah, just hang on a minute.
Someone in the audience has it.
I will, I'm just making a note here, double signs. I'll probably add footage, maybe say, Arrowhead Lane, public access, 60-foot wide, something like that. So you know it's not like 1,000 feet. Okay.
Good point.
Yes.
Question, Dan. So Arrowhead's a really good example. Are you putting a sign on both sides of the road?
No.
Or how are you?
I'm not worried about the backside. We're focused on the beach side. So because
Presently, some people are aware of that, so they use it as their access to TNC land and such. So is it possible on the lakeside to reference that the lane is on both sides of the road?
please come up with the verbiage and the direction.
Because it is,
That's too confusing, Dan, that's
Yeah.
confusing.
they're actively
complicating
used now,
things.
and the issue has been is some of the people that believe that's their driveway have told people they can't go in there. That's,
So let me take a little different spin at it, Bill. All of these people that have access lanes have been notified where they,
maybe that'll stop it.
Yeah.
so I'm
That might
hoping
be a
that now they understand
They're
their
educated.
property is really not their
Their
property, and it's public.
So as a follow-up, that, in the newsletter made me think about it, at some point, will you inform the township that there are these public lanes for people to use?
I think it's, unless you missed the paper,
Well,
I think there's,
not everyone reads the pulse as such, and just the idea that they have this access to the property.
I think the majority consensus was just kind of let that alone, so it doesn't draw every Tom, Dick, and Harry down there. Just kind of let you find it on your own.
I've been told there's a good chance I won't be recalled, but I would be assassinated. And
No, I understand.
so I don't have an issue with it being public access. I think some of the people on either side may have a little, but I think they understand it's up. I don't know that we would do anything as a next step.
Sure.
If we have feedback from the public that there's problems, maybe, but I think let them discover.
And
I
your
mean,
informing may accomplish it.
Right.
Then you got a good point.
The chainsaws might also accomplish it.
Yeah, I mean, clearing some of that stuff, I mean, whatever.
And if I could add one more point to follow up
Sure.
conversation. I really encourage the town board to also put signage on Shivering Sands on the creek of the town property. That's the piece of property that is used more by non-Glidden Drive people than any of these access points. And just today, there was a mother down there with 2 kids, you know, and they're parking on the side of the road and they're trying to get in. They don't even realize that that's town property, and it's actively used for fishing, kayaking, and such, and it's on both sides of the road. If you need some assistance in locating the pins, I know where they all are, and I can do that for you. So it's just it's the best property you have out there, is Shivering Sands.
As we talked earlier today, I'm just trying to envision where I would put those, because there's going to be quite a bit of distance between those two.
Put them at the 2 parking spots.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
Put the signs at the 2 parking spots.
No.
No, there's a parking spot on that side that isn't across from La Follett's. That's where the trail comes out.
Right.
But on the side, there's a parking spot which is used. And
You're
then
talking on the north side,
On the north side, there's a parking spot.
besides Drexel's or Drexel's?
I don't know the names.
The
Next
person with
to
the
the
White
middle.
House to the
Next to-
north of the creek, the one that sold.
Yes, there's a parking spot
Right.
right there. I've been cutting the grass for years. And then there's also a parking spot on the curve side, which is next, both of these are on the trails that are on the property.
Well, what I'll do is, we'll connect up and I'll go out and take a look.
I'll show you.
I know there's 2 spots to park. I know there's the La Follette place, and but we should charge him for parking.
He does move when I cut the grass, so,
All right, we'll take a look at it.
yeah, I'd be more than happy to help.
Here's a map of the park.
Pardon me?
Here's a map of the Shivering Sands Park.
Right. And what's not showing on there is the green grass where he's mowed it and where the points of access are. But I think I can handle that.
Volunteer.
And I have that. We found it in our archives, so we're good. All right, I'm happy to say we have no new business. Yeah, that's good news. So, ordinances and resolutions, we have, all right, I don't know if I brought this to the board before or not, I don't recall. I don't think we did.
No.
This is basically,
We talked.
we talked about it.
Yeah.
This is basically to protect us during the broadband installation. That's really the net of it. We're putting in writing what our expectations are. Comes from a lot of different people in helping create this document. It has been to our attorney on 2 separate occasions, so we are in the, from their perspective, we are in the final. Basic thing on page 2, permit required. It says no person shall perform work in the town without first obtaining a permit. There's no cost for the permit. If you're going to do a lot of work in the town, we can give you one general permit. It talks about traffic lanes and when you can open and close and obstruct them. It talks about how you access the road, that you don't just saw cut every square inch to get across, that you go underneath. It says what you have to do in terms of reconstruction, so we don't have issues down the road. And there is a form, an application form in there. And after that, there's a page that says by roll call, we can approve this document and make it part of our broadband process. So let's start with anybody got any questions?
I'm looking at the application itself, Appendix A. It's on page 44 of our packet.
Yep.
Utility type. What's a distribution? Description of proposed work, distribution, what would that be?
Could be a box.
Oh.
A big, you've seen them, if you go by the hitching post, for example, there's a huge distribution box there.
Oh, okay. And then it said you can't, this could be on an annual basis. So in the case of AT&T, they could just put it for
We could renew it.
2025, 2026.
Yep.
Would they have to specify the location or see attached or every intersection in the town? Doesn't matter. Just general blanket installation of lines.
It's just so that they probably know this better than we do. I mean, they deal with this all the time, but just some things like, for example, if you take down a town sign, a stop sign, you have to put it back, you know, things like that. So I would envision it covers us, but to them, it's probably standard operating procedure. Do you have a comment, Hugh?
No, I think the big thing is it's just, it's leveraging an existing county kind of ordinance that the Wisconsin County Highway Associations have put together. So it kind of mirrors what are the expectations an AT&T or a Bertram or someone else would have to follow if they were on our county roads. And we're not creating anything new. And it also sets us up in the future, there's going to be 5G work that's going to be going on, right? Because you're going to need more antennas. A lot of those may be mounted on existing power lines or new power lines, so this helps facilitate that as well. There are some roads in my district, not in the town of Sevastopol, but in my district where some utilities saw cut the road. And you know, when you patch that road up, it's never the same. And so with the investment that the towns are making, right, to do road restoration and repaving, you know, those are just some common sense things to make sure we have it in the ordinance to protect ourselves.
Yeah, we have a couple of those already.
As far as approving this, is this going to be up to our clerk or chairman?
Clerk can probably do it. If she needs consultation, I'll have her call you. Would you be willing to accept that challenge?
Of course.
All right, good. Feel free, Amy.
Sounds good. So noted.
So noted. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, line 135.
Line
I'm gonna be a
135.
grammar Nazi.
Oh,
It says settings instead of settlings, so it's B, any subsequent heaving settings. It should be settlings, or settle, no, it's not
Yeah.
settings. I know it's something stupid, but I read the whole damn thing, and I figured
I read
someone
it
else
and
might
didn't
read
see
it
that.
sometime.
I've read it several times.
Settling,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Instead of settings, it should say
Yeah.
settling.
No, I underscored it. Highlighted it and missed it. All right, good, we'll get that changed. Anything else? If not, we're moving on to, someone would like to approve this? I'm gonna guess Jeannie would like to make a motion to approve this document. Would you, Jeannie?
Sure, I'll be happy
Gotta get
to.
the top of it.
I'm trying to find the ordinance name. I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 01-2024, utility accommodation ordinance of the town of Sevastopol.
All right, motion by Jeannie, second by?
Trent, second.
Second by Trent, all right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we will move on to a roll call vote. Ms. Flock?
Chairman Mothel,
Yes, aye.
Supervisor Waite,
Aye.
Supervisor Vogel,
Aye.
Supervisor Hain,
Aye.
Supervisor Olson.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Ms. Flock will certify this for us, and we'll be on our way. Great. All right, financial reports. You have the account balances. You have the budget versus actual, January through May. And you have the transactions by date. And before we approve those, we'll see if the clerk treasurer with the treasurer hat has anything to add. Amy?
The town received its last, I hope it's last, of the winter operations bill from the county for the 2023, beginning of 2024 season. We have currently used roughly 86,000 of the 120,000 that we have budgeted. We've paid the third quarter dues of our fire contract with the city of Sturgeon Bay. I just finished working with Kalen Montevideo Fire Chief for the city of Sturgeon Bay, and Aaron LeClaire, the Director of Door County Emergency Services, to fill out the maintenance of effort paperwork. And I filed that. The paperwork is directly connected with the increase in all municipalities' shared revenue. If a municipality files it late or fails to file, their shared revenue will be decreased by 15%. So the increase was directly connected to that this year.
Okay. Just as an FYI, our January snow, which was really the only snow that we had, was $68,000.
In one fell swoop.
In one fell swoop. So I got called from Randy, they were looking to do some things, we pulled the bill after I fell over. We said, no, we weren't doing any more work. So next November, December, we're gonna take out the shovels.
We're really
Keep this
hoping that we
number-
don't get any snow.
Everybody shovel their own.
Yeah, all right, thank you, Amy. And so we need a motion to approve the financial reports.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Trent, second by Mark. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion approved, all right. Then we have vouchers, bills, and claims. I think everybody's signed those? If so, a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers, bills, and claims from May 21st, 2024 through June 17th, 2024.
Motion by Jeannie, second by?
Someone?
I'll second.
Second, all right, second by Trent. Approve the vouchers, bills, and claims. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Well, we're going to pay them. All right, good to know. Oral committee or commission, anyone wishing to speak that we,
I probably should speak on broadband.
you should?
Well,
All right.
just say that,
You can.
just to say we're still in pause. The AT&T and the PSC need to come to an agreement on, again, reminder, these are federal funds. So it's in the attorney's hands from both. So as soon as we hear that that's settled, we'll be able to move forward with the amendment of our contract with AT&T. That'll have to happen because of the difference in cost, the reduction in cost, and then hopefully fingers crossed, we can move forward.
And although the delay is not necessarily the most exciting thing, from what we've learned about the financial markets, they're looking at maybe one interest rate reduction in the fourth quarter. So by the time this thing gets going and we have to make our first payment, we still may be on track to pick up a couple rate reductions on our loan.
Yep.
So even though
It's
the
not all
delay is
bad.
not perfect, it may, yes, right, it may not be all bad news. So thank you, Jeannie. Anything else?
We don't have our Tourism Zone Commission meeting until this Thursday.
Right.
It's a combination annual meeting and our regular full commission meeting in person.
Ah,
So
Like,
you
Okay.
can't attend by Zoom, but
once a year, we kind of
All
do
right.
that.
Good to know. Anything else? Otherwise, we'll move on. We will go on to District 14 Supervisor Hugh Zettel, who's been very patient this evening, would like to share with us some of the news of the county.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of things from last month's meeting, primarily on the funding side, some approvals that the county board needed to make because of acceptance of donations and grants. Of interest that we have talked about previously is the E911 sign process. We have basically an amendment to the Uniform System Addressing Manual, which cleared up some language and some specifications for the E911 signs, which are going to be what they call flag type, so they're going to be perpendicular to the road with the number on both sides. And we standardize a size for that. We've also changed some of the departments. Again, this goes to the land use operational changes, so they can work on their backlog of issues, and so land use is moving this to the Judiciary Public Safety Committee, basically for the implementation. So that system manual and then the ordinance change, which basically references who has ownership from a county department level. So it went from land use department to land information services, so which is now under the Register of Deeds. So they made some staffing changes to basically allow the land use department to focus on their backlog of certificates of compliance and other operational issues, which I think's been well publicized. So those changes, with those changes in place, the updated RFP can be issued and then reviewed by the Judiciary and Public Safety Committee, so they can go forward with the implementation of the E911 signs. So that's the progress made there. Special report, Cane Island update was done. That actually is technically a county park that is county property, but the ticket sales, et cetera, is done through the Maritime Museum, so there's a revenue sharing agreement between the county and the Maritime Museum relative to how they share funding. So this is their annual update report to the county. Relative to subcommittee meetings, I have one here that I talked about. The Broadband Committee at the July 11th meeting is going to have a discussion on economic report that we funded through the Broadband Committee and also in conjunction with Door County Economic Development. And it's measuring the economic impact of broadband towards secondary residents of Door County. We have one of the largest numbers of secondary homes, not only in the state of Wisconsin, but we're just outside the top 100 in the country. We have more secondary homes than we have primary residences in the county. So that, when you take that number and then you look at how much time secondary owners spend in the county, it can become a big number. And we all noticed during COVID, when we would see additional cars or people walking the road saying, I never see these people here in February or March or April, and those were, the people that escaped to their secondary homes. Well, they have an economic impact. And so we did a couple of things. One is we measured how big the economic impact is of secondary homes. So that's one important thing. And then we asked, the big question is, if you had access to high-speed broadband, how many additional days would you spend in the county, and that was also a big number. So that's going to be very helpful since, you know, the towns in the county are making significant investments in broadband. So for municipalities that have a fairly sizable secondary home presence, which would include the town of Sevastopol, that would be of note relative to actually sharing that information and then, you know, being able to measure that impact as the network is deployed. So you're welcome to attend that on July 11th, and then there will be follow-up meetings and, you know, kind of discussions for any questions that folks would have on that. This Thursday at 3 o'clock, the Resource Planning Committee meeting on its agenda that is also posted is going to have a discussion on what their operations changes are going to be to meet with the backlog of the certificates of compliance and other response issues that towns have raised as concerned, as this town has made public and made known to me and to others. So that'll be your first chance to hear what that plan is. There are two plat hearings that are going to be held first, so this item is going to be kind of later in the agenda. So you wouldn't necessarily have to come in at 3 o'clock if you wanted to listen to what their response is and be able to chime in. But that's a coming attraction that may be of interest. The last one I want to talk about is Judiciary and Public Safety Committee and the proposed center EMS station. There's been a lot of discussion about whether or not the county should invest or co-invest or put a center EMS station in. As you've seen in paper and through other, if you participated or saw some of the meeting packets, you know, they're looking at, you know, something anywhere from, you know, jointly with Egg Harbor, jointly with the town of Jacksonport, and in some pro formas, they had it at the intersection of V and T, which is, you know, kind of a center ring, if you will, if you did a 10-mile radius between Sister Bay Station and City of Sturgeon Bay, where their station is. It's generating a lot of interest. A couple of things, they had a public, a discussion, more complete discussion last week. They need to gather some more information to really kind of outline what their current response times are, especially now that they are doing transfers for Door County Medical Center, right? They have a whole other crew that's been in place, and again, that crew's primary job is first to respond to E91 or to 911 calls. After that, if they're not busy, then they can do transfers. So that's, you know, so they, you know, that's in the mix. There are some, you know, potential questions of how would we fund that, because there are a lot of capital projects in the hopper for the county, right? There's the museum, there is this $26 million digital land mobile radio upgrade that has to be done, you know, because the VHF system for our emergency services, sheriffs, et cetera, is very stretched and having quality issues and reliability issues. And those are things that we just are going to be limited relative to, you know, how much money we can spend. So there's a lot of questions about where there can be alternate sources of funding. I had shared with the county administrator that, geez, this might be something where the Door County Community Fund, you know, might be able to share some revenue, because when you look at the call rates, it's seasonal. From June through October, you know, the rates almost double the number of ambulance calls. Well, that's because of the seasonal residents and the tourists that are here, and then it drops substantially after that. So the question is, you know, if it is driven a lot, if the response time impact that people feel, residents and non-residents alike, during that time period is driven by tourism, could you get some tourism dollars to help invest in that, because that's what's driving it. My understanding is that may not be able to use that money because that doesn't necessarily promote
Overnight stays.
overnight stays.
Unless
Maybe
it's
overnight
at
stays in the hospital, right?
Well, they're
But not-
promoting.
But not overnight stays in a hotel. So one of the other things, obviously, that was talked about here is just food for thought, and just to get your questions, or get your feedback, because it's going to be helpful, because this is going to come to Supervisor Vogel and myself as members of the Finance Committee, relative to how the Finance Committee will look at that. So if I look at the communities in that center ring that would benefit the most, there's a little bit of the northern part of the town of Sevastopol, obviously, and a little bit of the southern part of the town of Gibraltar, but you also have town of Bailey's Harbor, town of Egg Harbor, village of Egg Harbor, and town of Jacksonport, which is in that kind of center bucket. And looking at the latest 2023 tourism zone numbers, if I tally up all the 30% numbers that those towns and villages got, that's about 1.5 million. And so the question is, if someone were to ask you as the town of Sevastopol, what's another minute or two worth of response time, and would you use part of that 30% money to pay for that, would you do it? Now, most calls get done somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes. There is a section in this center part of the county where it takes maybe 16 minutes to 18 minutes or so, and they had that shown. The average in the country is about 15 for rural areas, and we're blessed to the fact that we have a county-run EMS system, not volunteer. We're in the state of Wisconsin, a typical volunteer EMS, you're lucky if you get a 30-minute response time.
Same day.
You're lucky. So we're blessed that we have that, and so the question is, what's it worth for an extra minute? And especially when 70% of our calls in the county are for falls.
Yeah.
It's not traffic accidents, it's not heart, it's falls. We have one of the best aging in place, we're one of the best aging in place counties in the state, which is great because it improves quality of life, it keeps healthcare costs low, but there's some other side effects, things like falls and people not making their houses fall-proof. So, you got 70% of your calls that go out are just to basically do falls, and a good 60% of those, they don't transport. They just, help grandma and grandpa or whatever, aunt and uncle get up, make sure they're okay, right? And then they drive back. So it's not like it's handling stroke victims or cardiac arrests or those sorts of things where you're gonna, go nuts down the street, to get to that site. So the question is, what's an extra couple minutes worth to you? And is it worth it knowing the type of calls that we respond to? And, is that, do you find fixing roads more important? So I don't need an answer.
Smoother ride on the way back to the
maybe,
hospital.
yeah. All those rigs are pretty heavy, so it's a long wheelbase, so it's pretty good. So I don't need an answer today, but I'd like to have you guys think about that. I would appreciate your thoughts relative to looking for funding, because it's going to be tough, I think, for the county to bite that off, and it's not just the 2.3 or $2.7 million in capital. It's the fact of, when you're funding six, a crew of six, that's a lot of comp and ben, right?
Yep.
So that's a big number, and our dollars are not going as far with inflation the way it is, and with some of these other huge capital expenditures, your residents are also going to be, with a reevaluation, a reval coming up, and to, see that county tax component on top of your towns. The question is, what's an extra minute or two worth? And so I'd just like you to think about it, and I would appreciate, send me an email, give me a call, and I'd appreciate your feedback on that. So with that, I appreciate your time. I know I took probably a little bit more than I wanted to, but I just want to get your feedback on this, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Valmy. Put it in Valmy. We're willing to contribute.
And we make a huge contribution.
We'll make a huge, there is an opportunity there, though. If we could create a business district, the business district could take some of the funds and redirect it.
Yep.
And They left, the one people
Yes,
we
the
were
one
hoping
thing-
they were going to be here. It's okay, wherever you are, Craig.
I do have one question for him, which might pertain to the emergency services aspect. But going back a couple weeks ago when we had those storms and that tornado on Washington Island and stuff like that, one of the biggest problems that this county has right now is because we don't have the tornado sirens anymore. Yeah, the emergency management guy posted on Facebook on a county thing, subscribe to Code Red, the mobile app, because you get push notifications. Well, I'll let you know I've used this app for a while now. I've registered for it, but you have to pay 99 cents a year just to get the notifications. They charge you, and they have a rating of 1.9 out of 5 stars for an app that's over 6 years old.
They don't have good ratings for the app.
And it doesn't work.
It's not effective.
So ultimately, we're SOL. Why can't we go to if we're upgrading all these digitals, everything digital, why can't we go to a system like what Brown County has, where if there's an emergency in a specific area, you'll get a emergency alert system on your phone, pushed automatically, saying there's police presence in this area, please stay away from such and such a street. Or why can't we go to a system like that if we're upgrading the emergency, going to digital? Is that something they're looking into? Because obviously, if I, who know technology, has troubles making something work, how are you expect a community, especially ones that are aging in place, to be able to sign up for a program that doesn't even work?
I think, great question, Derek, thank you. I don't think this would be done through this large towers project that I cited earlier, but there is an ongoing investment which is called Next Generation 911, because that would actually come from the 911 call center, and that may be part of that effort, which is actually also being deployed statewide by AT&T.
Somebody's got to be doing the Amber Alert kind of approach.
Correct. And so I'll talk with Jeb, the EMS, emergency management director, just to reference this, what Brown County is doing and push notifications to cell phones. Obviously for grandma and grandpa that have landline, that's, a bit of a challenge, but I'll find out and follow up. So.
Okay.
Okay.
These notifications aren't working. Everybody was used to these radio sirens, and the county just let them die out because it was too costly. They need something to replace it that is simple, that we don't need to register with. It just works.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Hugh.
All right. Thank you,
So,
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, supervisors.
Other than the Valmy location for that clinic, okay, all right, we'll move on. So we have in your packet the building permits. Amy has pulled them again for us. We've already found this to be of value, haven't we, Amy? She finds stuff for me without having to go digging, so that's great.
I'll comment that I like the way this is posted now.
Yep.
This is much better than the other.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've called in and asked to check,
What's
because you
going
drive
on,
by
yeah.
and you see something going on, and you name it, they're building a shed, they're doing this, or, you gotta ask, and you can't believe how many of them
Yeah.
don't bother.
Yep.
So they just kind of let
Yeah,
it go.
that's nice.
We also have inspection specialists, they're billing for the month and what we pay them. And we have the Town of Sevastopol liquor licenses. We have 10 liquor licenses. We have, what, 4 left, Amy? Is it 3? 3 and 1?
No, we have 4.
4, so 3 regular and the 1 high-priced.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Any rate, she's got everything squared away with these people, right? They own nothing.
They own nothing, and the winery did not have to get one this year because of new regulations from the state. Breweries, wineries, and microbreweries no longer have to get licenses from local municipalities. They have to do something else. So
If they get their liquor or their wine permit from them, probably, something, whatever.
And there's another thing that
State gets
they
money.
can get, or people can get operator's license through the state. They can get a statewide operator's license.
Oh.
That was something new
Travel
this
and
year.
drink and mix.
And mix
Yeah, there you go, great.
all around the state.
Okay, so we have 10 licenses to approve. A motion would be in order.
I'll move to approve the alcohol beverage license renewal applications as presented for the period which will cover July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. And I would also like to compliment our clerk, who, when she publishes her notices, that she includes the agent name, because I find that many municipalities, I believe by statute, you're supposed to include the agent. And so, thank you, Amy.
Very welcome.
I'll second
There you
that
go.
with all that extra added.
And your second,
Process,
we have a
yes.
motion by Linda, second by Jeannie, with a compliment thrown in. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, carried, good. All right, we're winding down to what I thought was going to be a short meeting. I assume you've all seen the notice about Kalen Montevideo.
Yes.
All right, that's good news. I'm glad there's some consistency there. You have a copy of the monthly fire department report. Also associated appraisal. They're at 78% of the project, and so they are billing us another couple $1,000. For those of you at home and listening, we anticipate that the new assessments will be sent out in August. That's the timeline we hope that will follow. There's also a copy to David Lininist. There must be a lot of misspelling in this, in this area, regarding the secondary effluent valve replacement at the treatment ponds, which is the septic system servicing our building and others. Also, I included in there, in last month, Linda and I both attended the Wisconsin Towns Association monthly or bi-monthly meeting. And there was a presentation there by Health and Human Services. And they shared with us, and this is really more informational than anything else, that there is the ability, if we find in our community someone that has a serious hoarding issue, that we can involve them at the county level, and they will step in and try to help us. If you think back, Linda's probably got this committed to memory. 7, 8, 9 years ago, there was a consistent problem in Carlsville with hoarding, and the county had to step up and finally resolve it, which meant in the case of that individual, physically going up there, cleaning the property. So they just basically made a presentation and said, this is available to us in the right set of circumstances.
And not once, but twice, they cleaned up that property. They cleaned it up. It was a repeat situation. A few years down the line, we pay again.
Yeah. And it could involve out-of-pocket expense from us too, so
Yeah,
hopefully
I
we
heard that.
want to avoid that, but the gist of it is it's there. All right, so we have some announcements, and then we'll wrap this up. We have the 43rd Annual FFA Dairy Breakfast, and this year, and maybe all future years, it's going to be on a Saturday. So it's Saturday, July 6th, normally Sunday. So those of you that normally head home on Sunday and miss it, can now come on Saturday and enjoy the food entertainment and the dairy business. The Board of Supervisors meeting, our next one is Monday, July 15th at 7 p.m. Open book, this ties back to the revaluation, is Thursday, September 5th from 11 to 4, in person here at the Town Hall. Board of Review, Thursday, September 26th from 1 to 3, in person here at the Town Hall. I have 2 items for next month's agenda that give you a heads up on, which is emergency service management for Trent. We'll put that on the agenda for July. And Mark, you have silent sports. Figure out where we're going with Jim Mitchie's request on the bicycle lanes.
Nowhere.
Pardon me?
Nowhere.
That's fine.
I did a lot of looking
Okay.
into it.
So I'll put you on the agenda and we can go through wherever it is. All right. Which leaves us to item number 19, the adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Trent.
Second.
Second by Mark. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Good night.
We are adjourned. Thank you.